what's happened in the last video.
You never want to leave alone. She is dumb.
And here is more MrDudeManSir.
Hello, and welcome MrDudeManSir. And today, I am playing some more Corpare, the Freaky Book of Shadows. And in the last episode, I believe Mrs. Yuka ran into the infirmary because she was scared about her stomach being ripped open from that one guy who killed Yuka. I already forgot her name. Nana. Nana. That's the girl's name. I'm gonna read this thing now. Welcome back. You're creepy. No, you shouldn't know you shouldn't even know I'm here, and you should not change because of me being here. Is this literally all there's in? Is this that one paper? Can I leave? I can. Not. I don't remember closing the door. Probably because you didn't. It wouldn't open. And it wasn't like it was locked. Rather, it felt almost as if someone was holding it closed with superhuman strength. Oh no, I know this. I know what's gonna happen now. Suddenly, I realized why. The door was wrapped multiple times over with thin, black threads. How I had not noticed this moment ago. What? Is this human? I looked at it a bit more closely and concluded, without question, that was exactly what it was. I felt an unpleasant heat radiating along my back muscles, across my entire spine. I was being watched. There was some sort of moist, lukewarm presence in the room with me, and slowly but surely, I could sense it moving. Who's there? Who's behind me? I was too scared to turn around. This room. Oh no. Oh dear. Hello, Sachiko. Eek. It was a little girl wearing a red dress. Probably a first or second grader. Her skin was as pale as pottery, contrasting with the lacquer-like hair, and she looked somehow familiar. Ah, this is the girl from the newspaper who survived the murders. Sachiko Shinozaki. But that can't be right. That happened over 30 years ago. This room is so lifeless. I know what it needs. A human autopsy model. I want to dissect a human. What? Have you come to play with us again? No. Please, no. Something was dripping onto the back of my hand. Are these tears? That's what I thought at first, anyway. If I'd started to cry, I wasn't aware. But considering what I was going through, it wouldn't have been surprising in any way. I wondered just how much I'd cried since sealing up this godforsaken place. I mean, being sealed, I was trapped here, and I probably cried a lot. Probably more than I'd ever cried before in my entire life. But these weren't tears, were they? Was it blood, then? Did these children do something to me? Sure enough, I reached up and touched my face. My finger came in contact with something sticky and red. Ah! What did you do to me? We didn't do anything. Sachiko's answer is cold and disinterested, and came accompanied with a crooked, wry smile. She was a child, yet one glance from her made every hair in my body stand up on end. How about you take a look into the mirror? We'll wait. Just for a little bit, though. Sachiko's face somehow made me feel as if there might be two sides on her. One gentle, and one not. But regardless of which I was dealing with here, I wasn't about to go against her recommendation. I was legitimately curious myself. So I took out my compact and opened it. and... Why? No. No, please! The bruise I concealed with makeup has sprung with the surface once again, though it could hardly be a bruise anymore. My game is like spazzing to freak out right now. Like the background music's all staticky. My skin had literally split open from inside, and blood was beginning to seep out through the pinkish fissure by bead by bead. No. No, this can't be happening. It can't be. No! It's happening. That's all you. If you hadn't fought it, you might have been able to die quickly. But you're going to die. You're going to be here. You're going to be torn open along those cracks on your belly. And give me 1 minute. Okay, I think that fixes static. Anyways. What in the freaking world is going on? The bruise on my stomach had followed suit, splitting open and dripping dark red blood everywhere. At this point, I'd completely lost any ability to think or reason. I was a goner, and I knew it. What's worse than dying in an instant by getting smashed against the wall? Getting slowly, carefully torn apart. That's what. Let's play. Come on. Let's play. Time to begin the autopsy, everyone. No, please. Stay away. Stay away! Yeah, I was a goner. I couldn't fight it. Somewhere deep in the pit of my soul, I knew there was no way out. This unimaginably cruel fate was predestined. I couldn't escape. Oh sure, I tried to run. I squirmed and resisted with every last bit of strength I had. But fate had me by the ankle, and it wasn't about to let go. If only I could force myself to lose consciousness, maybe I could avoid the unbearable agony I knew was coming. But sadly, I wasn't that strong-willed. That's disgusting. I could feel the hands of children all over my body, coming from virtually every direction, and they're really digging. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. No. I'm dying. Save me. Shake. Shake! Ha ha ha! Your dear Shake won't be coming to your rescue. No chance. No hope. I was seized with pain unlike anything I'd ever even imagined possible before. I couldn't talk, couldn't move, couldn't even think. I felt like my head was going to explode under the pressure of millions of nerves, all telling my brain just how much every part of my body hurt. And it didn't stop. Every moment, it grew worse and worse. Then, I began to drift away. What an awful stink. Let's decorate the wall and maybe the hallway outside with our new her. This school is getting lively all the time. Sachiko's voice sounded like it was far in the distance. It was then that I realized the agony I'd been feeling had changed. It was no longer pain, but chill. I didn't hurt anymore. I was just cold. So cold, I couldn't even feel my body. so cold. So very, very cold. Shig, I can't even move a finger anymore. But even if I'm dead, and even if my body is an unsightly mess, I hope you won't think poorly of me. Because, Shig, my final wish is that Shig be the one to find my body. As long as it's not too revolting to look at, anyway. I want him to think I'm pretty. I miss him. Shig, bro. An alternate universe tale, number 2. Demise. Complete. Number 2, clear. Now I can get to chapter 3. Okay, so now there's another soulful testimony I'm gonna look at. So yeah. Oh, that was very depressing, actually. Yeah, and I just realized that I mixed up Yuka and Mayu, because in the first game, like Mayu, that girl just died. Mayu died like in the first, before we even got to know her, so I completely forgot all about her and thought she was Yuka because it looked basically the exact same. Anyways, I'm gonna go to the soulful testimonies now and check this out before moving into chapter 3. Because I believe that was only like 10 or 15 minutes of the chapter. I need more stuff. And it was going to go on until like 1 o'clock in the morning anyways. So where is it at? Where was the thing? I went to the wrong place, didn't I? I did. I go to extras. I keep forgetting this. Soulful testimonies. And, oh look, I have 3 of them now. Yeah. Yeah, I have Yuka. I'm going to look at Yuka now.
Autopsy Book of Shadows をプレイしてくださった皆さん、どうもありがとうございます。鈴本真由役の南里優香です。皆さん、プレイしてみていかがでしたか？真由としても、南里優香としても、久しぶりに本当に背中がゾクゾクする感じを私も味わいました。皆さんもぜひ何度もプレイして楽しんでくださいね。
I did have chills, actually. I was very sad. I'm gonna look at his now.
皆さんお疲れ様でした。吉木役の中村祐一です。いやー、クリアをしたそうで、どうでしたか？一本道で行けましたか？それともいろんな人がいろんなことになっちゃうパターンを見たんでしょうか？もし見てなくてですね、割とすんなりいけちゃったなっていう人はですね、やっぱり全部見てほしいよねっていうところがありますから、僕だけじゃありません。すべての、いや違うな。何人かはね、そんなに激しくやってないんですけどね。僕らなんかはね、割と激しめのシーン、ちょっとショッキングなね、シーンをたくさんやってるんでね、そういったところもぜひ含んで楽しんでいただければいいかななんて思っておりますんで、何度も遊んでみてもらえるかな？はい、どうもありがとうございます。それではまた。
Well, apparently, chapter 2 has a bunch of endings, which I did see, and I have a bunch. And he wants me to, watch them. I'm gonna go to a new chapter now. Encounter. I might actually go back and do the other, endings in, like, a live stream or something. Probably. Let's see. Tenjin 5, Is that 23? Or is it 33? Mr. Yamazaki's handwriting is atrocious. This really wasn't my day. I knocked over my alarm clock this morning, and of course it stopped working. The very last pork sandwich sold out right before my eyes during lunch. That was roped into favor when I happened upon the homeroom teacher, Mr. Yamazaki, long after the school day had ended. So now, like it or not, I was on my way to deliver some notes to Miss Yui, our homeroom TA. It was out sick with a cold. I'll have to make sure I apologize to Yuka later. I know how disappointed she'll be that I'm missing her shopping date. Tenjin 5-23, number 11. Found it. As long as it doesn't actually read 6-33, number 77 anyways. I stopped and compared the memo in my head at the apartment building in front of me. It was 2 stories tall and looked a little on the shabby side. Probably around 20 years old. It didn't seem very solid, nor was it particularly stylish or chic. Chic. What does chic mean? Is that like some sort of like Japanese way of saying like some sort of like cool word? Like swag? Is it like, I don't know. It's probably some sort of descriptive word, I don't know, that's very complicated. It was completely unremarkable structure in every way. Apartment 207. Or is that 201? You need to get your stuff straight, Satoshi. Come on! I was really getting fed up with his handwriting. And from a teacher, nonetheless. In any case, it seemed certain the apartment was on the 2nd floor. So I trudged up a startlingly narrow, steep stairs. The metal staircase was thoroughly blotched with patches of rust. Why would someone live in such a run-down apartment building? Are the teachers' salaries really that low? Well, they don't make, like, a whole lot, they just make enough to get by. Like a McDonald's person. I felt like a little sorry for her. But in a way, this place kind of fit her personality. With that thought in mind, I turned my attention toward apartment 201. Here we are. 201, Yeah, this doesn't look like Miss Yui's place. The door plate for the room nearest to the stairs had a name I didn't recognize scribbled on it. Guess that means we tried door number 2. Passing room 201, I continued down the narrow walkway until the end. Wandering alone around the apartment building I'd never been to before made me feel kind of nervous. It wasn't like I was doing anything wrong, but my back still tensed up and maneuvered around a piled up strollers, plastic toys, and bundles of newspapers. And then finally, I arrived at the last door. Bingo! This was it. I breathed a sigh of relief. The door plate of apartment 207 read Shishido. For an adult's handwriting especially, the letters were rounded and overly cutesy. This is Miss Yui's place all right. What's this? I leaned in to read something written in small script in the corner of the door plate. Beware of... a cat? Shouldn't it beware of dog? That's Miss Yui for you. So exactly does one beware of house cat? Is it even possible for house cats? Yes, it is! Oh yeah! I have many scars on my hands from where cats just like for no reason, just like biting my hand and just... I like cats, but they do some crazy things sometimes. At any rate, I'd confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt this is Miss Yui's place, so my errand was nearing its end. What was Miss Yamazaki thinking anyway? I understand taking handouts to sick classmates, but delivering class notes to the home of an absent teacher? That just seems weird. This doesn't seem like anything a student should be doing. He said he was busy with meetings though, and really needed one of the students to help him out. But was it really okay to entrust a school student with confidential class notes? Wouldn't it be kind of a problem if I were to read these? My mind kept drifting from one question to another, and had become acutely aware of the inherent value of these notes that held in my bag. But tempting as it was, I just couldn't bring myself to look at them. Mr. Yamazaki put his faith in me, after all. And I was stronger than that. I couldn't let this be the best of me. At any rate, I was there. I should have been able to drop off the notes and be on my way. Putting all my doubts and misgivings aside, I rang the doorbell. And then I waited, and waited, and waited some more. But there was no answer. Huh? It did ring, didn't it? Yeah, I heard it. It was very loud. Miss Yui? I rang the bell again, and I also tried calling out. But there was no response still. I accidentally skipped it, but I think he said, what should he do? I don't want to wake her, but I am a little concerned. When we'd heard that Miss Yui was staying home sick today, we were all pretty disappointed. That's why part of me was actually a little happy that I was asked to run these over to her. I figured I'd be able to check in, see how she was doing, and let everyone at school know she was feeling better. It never occurred to me that I might not be able to see her, though. Miss Yui? Miss Yui! Nothing, huh? Miss Yui? Hello? She was probably sleeping, or out at the doctor's or something, but what if she were hurt? I tried opening the mail slot and peeking in. I thought maybe I could get a glimpse of the room inside. Miss Yui? It felt kind of wrong peeking to someone's house without their permission. But I was legitimately worried about Miss Yui's health, so my conscience is clear on this one. Freaking cat. Oh wow, jump scare plus cat. Ah! Oh, the cat. A well-groomed cat was facing the door and staring back at me. With its head tilted slightly into the side, it let out an adorable meow. It is very kawaii. Cats are like the entire symbol of like kawaii-ness, basically. Other than that are neckos. This must be the cat I was instructed to beware. And since Miss Yui is always going on and on about her little buddy, I was pretty sure I'd remember his name. You're Moray, right? Or no, it's Monet, or is it Monette? Is it like French Monet? I don't know, I'm gonna call him Monet because it sounds cooler, I think. Yeah, Monet. What a pretty kitty you are, Monet. Miss Yui talked about her cat a lot in class, so pretty much the whole school heard of him. She even had some tins of cat food hidden in the shelf in the classroom, probably because she brought too much and had no room for her apartment. Here, kitty kitty. Monet? Monet, is Miss Yui home? That sounds like a meow of, very badness, so I think Miss Yui is very harmed right now. If she's home, would you mind waking her up for me? That's a good kitty. You don't even know what she's saying. You sound like my mom when she's talking to her cat. Yeah, I didn't think that would work. My shoulders sank. I felt defeated. What the heck was I doing? I closed the mail slot and stood back up. Dang. I sure hope Miss Yui's alright. She's probably just out right now or something. Which would mean the door's locked, I'm sure. Lost in speculation, I placed my hand on the doorknob. With a quick twist, I turned it and pushed on the door, opening it easily. That was literally the longest wait outside of a door just to open up the door. Huh? It wasn't locked. Crap, that was not good. I can't let Monet get out. Ha! Your master's pretty careless, huh? Leaving the door unlocked like that. Monet's whiskers twitched as I called out to him from the entranceway. What's that, you say? She is? Freaking puns. You and I are on the same page, Monet. Oh, cat, you're hilarious. Here, I was talking to a cat. Was this what I'd become? What should I do? I was feeling pretty uneasy. Not only had I peeped into someone's home, I'd walked in without a second thought. Moreover, this is where Miss Yui lived. Alone. In other words, a woman's apartment. No matter how many times I reminded myself that I was here on an errand, I couldn't help but feeling I had even crossed that line but leaped over it. Miss Yui? I tried calling her name one last time. But as expected, there was no answer. So what now? I was trying hard to avoid being nosy, but my eyes inevitably began surveying the room. The apartment entrance led out immediately into the kitchen, and beyond there was a sliding door to the same room. I could see a light through there. I strained my ears, but there was nothing to hear. No signs of life whatsoever. Miss Yui really must have been out. One more time. I tried. You already called out to her a bunch. I felt like I'd seem more suspicious if I stayed silent. Miss Yui? It's Mochida. Still nothing. Maybe she was asleep on the other side of that door. Let's just have a— Really? You're going to peek on a girl sleeping? Wait. Shaking my head furiously, I cast out the set of impulse. That was it. Yes, you are smart. I thought you were smarter than that. You're good. Entering an apartment unannounced is bad enough, but walking all the way in, opening the sliding door and peeking inside, that was just way too much. Man, if Miss Yui happened to come home and find me standing here, I'd be in pretty hot water, huh? I don't know, Miss Yui is really nice, so she'd probably understand if you told her their explanation. No, scratch that. I'd be in plentiful, dense, scalding water. Just like Heavenly Hills probably... Wait, the Heavenly Hills will kill you in the future. My name Mude. Mood? What is... what? Mood? Like Mude or Mood? I don't know. I think it's supposed to be meowed, but it says Mood. I think that's a horrible typo. I think it's meowed. Panicked. I once again surveyed my surroundings. I almost felt like there were eyes on me, staring with disdain. But of course, nobody was here. Alright. I can just leave a note. I was wondering why I didn't think of this sooner. I dug in my bag for some paper and a pen. Miss Yamazaki asked me to come by. That should be enough, right? I'll just use some notebook paper. Let's see. Miss Yui. Crouching in the doorway, I ran my pen across the page. I brought class notes at Yamazaki's behest. Everyone has been worried about you. Sorry about barging into your apartment. Please don't forget to lock your door from now on. As I was writing the note, I sensed a presence in front of me. Till just a moment ago, this house had been no signs of human life in it. Now, I could feel someone standing directly ahead. Standing and looking at me from afar. Huh? Fidgeting nervously, I put down my pen, raised my head slowly, and saw a white, slender ankle. Freaking, why make this scary music? It's just like Ecchi Yui here. Come on. Shocked, I shot my head up, and there, standing before me, was Miss Yui. Miss Yui? She was looking right at me, but she seemed decidedly out of sorts. Her hair looked disheveled. Her gaze was unsteady, and her pajamas were in complete disarray. She was like a completely different person from the usual camp educator we come to know and love. Miss Yui, I'm so sorry to have entered in your apartment without permission. Here. I stood up frantically and held out the note I'd been writing. But... Huh? Miss Yui was standing there, stupefied, with a completely vacant expression on her face. Miss Yui? I called out to her as gently as I could, but... She was really dazed. She seemed almost like a ghost. Miss Yui, what happened to you? I had a sudden uneasy feeling, worried. I waked up, walked up to her and grabbed her by the shoulders, trying to snap her out of what's been shaking her. But instead... This just seemed to make her cough. Hey, Miss Yui. These were wet, productive coughs. And spit was shooting out of Miss Yui's mouth with each one. I frantically tried to shield my face from the spray, but my reaction time wasn't quick enough. I put my hand on her cheek. It found thick with a slimy film of saliva. Are you okay, Miss Yui? that was horrible wheeze. Miss Yui hobbled back a little, and fell to her knees with a thud. She had completely sprawled out in the hallway, moaning and groaning the whole time. Miss Yui? Wiping the spatterings of her own face, I leaned over and took a better look at hers. It was bright red. Strained breathing, a stuffy nose, and visibly high fever on top of it all. She was thick as could be. Sick. Cold. Cold, but you're dripping with sweat. It's so cold. I thought maybe your sweat was cooled down, but then we realized you're just this heave-old pajamas certainly weren't doing any favors. I don't understand why it was literally like an insane, like, creepy moment. And then they added just some sort of, like, fan service moment with you being, like, a kawaii person. With a panda shirt and, like, very much cleavage. I don't know. With heart pounding a mile a minute and face red as traffic light, I set about buttoning her up. You're going to button up her shirt? Miss Yui, you know who this is, right? It's Mochita from school. If you're cold, you need to sleep under your covers. Otherwise, you won't get any better. She absent-mindedly extended her shaking arms like a zombie, slowly opened her eyes, and looked up at me. It was the gaze of a severely fevered mind. Miss Yui, Tsukasa! What? Whoa, holy, whoa. Look at Satoshi just like, whoa! Tsukasa! Miss Yui is clinging to me tightly. I couldn't move. I was frozen in shock. She began to weep. You come for me, Tsukasa. Who's Tsukasa? What a lovely surprise. I'm so glad you're here. Miss Yui, wait. You got the wrong person. It seemed like I wasn't getting through to her at all. And the sensation of her chest as she held me was making it virtually impossible to fight her grip. Whoa. I was utterly powerless against the opponent. I'd never realized before how soft a woman's chest really was. It makes his heart go doki doki. God, am I that weak-willed? I had to remind myself as Miss Yui was confused with someone else. Mustering all the strength I could, I gripped her arms and tried to pry them off of me. But she was a lot stronger than I'd anticipated, and wouldn't let me get away. I was so scared, Tsukasa. I was so scared. Scared? I never thought you'd actually come. I've never done a flush or yelp thing sound effect before, so I'm going to try. As she squeezed me tightly, I felt as though my upper body might collapse under the pressure of her soft, freak. Yeah, this is fan service, alright. They gotta add at some point in time, so why not add at the beginning of the very slice of life part of the before it gets into the horror part, into helping the house. I was blushing uncontrollably. Miss Yui, please let go. No, I won't. Come on, Miss Yui. I struggled to wriggle free. Miss Yui only grabbed me tighter. Our bodies were getting more and more intertwined, and every time I squirmed, Miss Yui would just pull me even closer. Tsukasa. As her chest rose and fell erratically, droplets of sweat slid down into her cleavage. Ooh. Sounds like some Rosario's vampire crap now. I could feel the heart of her fever radiating off of her, steadily encroaching her face, as well as the shoulders I'd grabbed in an effort to push away. Stay here with me, Tsukasa. Please. I'm telling you, you've got the wrong person. Questions were swirling around my head. Why was Miss Yui crying? And who was this Tsukasa person? But I was most concerned for the state of her pajamas, which had become even more deceitful during— oh no. Miss Yui, your pajamas, your pants. They're slightly— oh no. Freaking, this is so anime right now. Tsukasa, you're so warm. Miss Yui, please. Realizing that not a single word was getting through to her, I sighed resignedly. I'd taken care of Yuka any number of times when she caught a cold and strong fever, but I don't recall ever getting this bad. Well, I don't remember a 20-year-old teacher. I don't believe you've ever been in the 20-year-old teacher's room with her jumping all over you because she's sick. That's why you haven't been in this situation before. Miss Yui was usually calm, collected, and rational. Who would ever imagine the fever could leave her so thoroughly discombobulated? Miss Yui, seriously, pull yourself together. I put more strength in my resistance, and finally, her arms relaxed just the tiniest bit. But her expression changed drastically. No. No, please. Miss Yui? I'm Satoshi Muchira. Not this to... Please don't go. Please. Miss Yui is acting like a spoiled child. Slipping out of those shoes I'd still been wearing, I drew close to her and spelled out for her. There was no way I could just leave her here like this. I sure hope none of this seemed too sketchy after a few fever breaks. Oh. Miss Yui let a lethargic groan, perhaps in response to my quiet murmurings. At my wit's end, I grabbed hold of her and did my best to carry her into the back of the room. Whoa! Okay then? Gently wheeling her over into an unfurled futon, and then I carefully laid her down, making sure I didn't drop her in the process. It's like episode 1 all over again! Then there were a matter of rebuttoning those pesky pajamas again. I hesitantly pulled up her pajama bottoms and brushed away the stray hairs that were plastered to her brow for sweat. Again, another part where it's like really hard to read because it's just so funny. You know, some people, if they wouldn't see the anime or like stuff like this, they would probably think this is like the craziest thing ever, that I'm insane for playing a game like this and actually like enjoying it. But you know, and there's also those other people to where they watch anime and are used to this crap. You just get used to it if you watch anime and play games like this. Which, I mean, I'm not saying that I play like games like this all the time, I'm just used to it from the animes. Yeah, it's just kind of there and every day. But just, this has kind of become like a usual occurrence. A lot, actually. I've done my best to avoid seeing anything I shouldn't, but I am a guy, so my heart was pounding the whole time. Miss Yui's pajamas were soaked through with sweat. She really might have been better off with a change of clothes on. Oh! Holy crap! But no, that would have been gone, yeah. I wish I could find the towel or something so I could at least wipe off the moisture away. Noticing a convenient store bag carelessly tossed on the floor, I glanced inside. Hey, she already bought cold packs. Why wasn't she using them? Jeez. Miss Yui, this might be a little cold, but bear with me, okay? Alright, I think that'll help. Oh, look, he's holding the cat. It's so cute. Now, like, instead of like the edgy part, this is all like cute now. Alright, I think that'll help. I placed one of the compressors on her forehead and pulled the covers over her. Lucia appeared almost instantly relieved. She exhaled contentedly, and then breathing became more relaxed. Finally, she was asleep. Buzz. Sigh. Even in sleep, Miss Yui seemed to be suffering. She didn't feel the best. Oh, Monet. Are you worried about your master? I don't blame you. When Miss Yamazaki said she was sick, I had no idea it would be this bad. Monet was coiled up on my legs without noticing. I began absent-mindedly speaking to him. He mewed and... Apparently it's not a typo. That mew is a thing. It's not meow, but it's mew. He mewed in response. And our conversation ended there, as my gaze was still fixed squarely on Miss Yui. So what did I do now? Miss Yui? Are you okay to be alone right now? Grow alone. She wasn't in any condition to respond. But... Miss Yui? Miss Yui's hand had slipped from under the futon and was gently grasping my pants. Oh no. Hey. Her grip was much weaker than before, but I knew I'd probably regret it if I went home now. Miss Yui seemed really lonely. Well, I guess I'll settle in then. Without disturbing Miss Yui hold on to me, I took a seat beside her. For the time being, I figured I'd watch over her and make sure the condition wouldn't worsen. Occasionally, Miss Yui's breathing would become ragged and she'd furrow her brow. She was pretty in a bad way. Wait, what? What did I say? She was pretty a bad way or something like that? I don't know. Poor thing. Wasn't there anything else I could do? Maybe get her a glass of water. I glanced quietly down the hallway. I noticed I noticed when I carried Miss Yui here that the kitchen was it was perfectly neat. There wasn't any indication it had been used that day at all. She need to make her some food. Make her something like ramen noodles. That would be good. I wonder if she's eaten anything. One of his gaze shifted suddenly. I followed it, and the pet's bowls lay down in the corner of the room. One dish was filled to the brim with water, and the other was piled high with dry cat food. I see someone's eating well around here, huh? Even delirious with fever, she's still taking real good care of you. But that's not good, Miss Yui. You shouldn't be thinking about your own meals you should be eating. I shook my head at the whole situation, and glanced down at Monet, who was tilting his head as if trying to understand me. I broke into a wry smile, just like Sachiko did. When I pulled out this cold packs, I did notice some cheap convenience store food in the bag as well. I guess that was going to be our food for the day. Not exactly the best stuff to eat when you're sick, though. Those rice and eggs, at least. Maybe I'll make an egg porridge or something. Miss Yui, may I borrow your kitchen? Whoa. That means yes. Her face was bright red and half-painted. Half-contented noises provided me with no clear-cut answer to my question. I don't think I'm going to get much out of her. How about you, Monet? Do I have your permission to use the kitchen? Excellent, thank you. Wow. Monet's cries helped assuage my guilt over entering my woman's apartment and borrowing into a kitchen. Not that I had any reason to feel guilty. I don't think, anyway. I mean, circumstances were what they were. Still, I had this nagging sense that I should have somehow felt bad about what I was doing. Excuse me, please, Miss Yui. I'm going to need your get up. One by one, I gently peeled off each of the fingers latched to my pant leg. The expression on her face changed as I was doing so, from contented rest to a mild annoyance. But there was nothing to indicate when she might wake up. Alright then, let's see what we can do, shall we? As I stood up, Monet mewed happily and began tagging along by my heels. Achoo! Miss Yui, now resting by herself in the bedroom, let out a sudden sneeze. Dark Shadows, Episode 3.